Hello, everybody. I'm back, and we are on the last week of September, getting into October. So, today and this week, I've decided I'll continue talking about money matters, flourish and flow. I'm Rana Puntaye, your host, and I do my daily talks for like less than 15 minutes, just a quick one for tips, tools, tactics, and sometimes traps to avoid to live an enriching, rewarding, and meaningful life. So this week I decided we'll continue our focus on money matters. So last week I focused mainly on helping us have more awareness, especially with our relationship with money. And fundamental to that is counting, understanding where are we spending our money and how are we earning our money. But this week I decided to move forward. Uh, now that we understand our relationship with money, and hopefully we are brutally honest with that, um, now that we understand we need to pay ourselves first, what do we do with that money? So then the question is, are you working hard, hustling over money? Well, I'm not talking about working hard because you simply love what you do. That's different. But if you're working hard and it's such a struggle day in and day out because you just really have to earn money, well, that's something different. Eventually, there is a pathway to get to a point where you hopefully no longer have to do that because your money is the one working hard for you. And the things that I shared last week are the first few fundamental steps to get to that point where you finally don't have to work hard for money. Sure, you can work hard doing what you love, but that's different versus making money be the one working hard for you. There are many ways to do that, but I'll share with you two simple things that I personally have applied. So, you ready? The first one is after you've saved money and after you've paid yourself first, now you have enough, hopefully, to then consider investing that capital. So, being an investor is different from being a business or an a business person or entrepreneur. So I think people sometimes mistake the two. Investing your money is letting your money work for you, so it produces more money for you with minimal effort on your part. Sure, you have to be diligent about doing your research, but once you've put your money or your capital into that investment, it should be able to be almost like a set and forget thing. It's like planting a seed and then it grows into this bountiful tree and it produces fruits for you throughout, years into the future, not just for yourself, but for your children or grandchildren. Then you leave that as a legacy. So, what are those seeds we're talking about? One is, and this is probably obvious to a lot of people, is real estate. So there's this big debate whether, should you buy your own home or should you use that money instead to pay for capital to put it into a rental investment property? Well, it depends, and I can talk more about that. Essentially, I just want to share the concept of making money work for you. So I simply want to paint the picture for you. Imagine this. Imagine you've bought yourself a property, and you might be a bit scared because it is such a huge commitment. But if you actually bought a property, let's just say a positive scenario, right? And you have a renter. You rent that property, and the rental income covers most of your expenses, your mortgage and your maintenance fees, plus insurance and so on and so forth, cancel rates and so on, for the investment property. So essentially, that's what you call neutrally geared. But that scenario, imagine that eventually you'll end up owning that property, you'll end up building what you call equity. So the value of your property over the long term, provided you've chosen the right property, will continue to increase in value. And in the meantime, you don't really have to shell out that much money. Again, it depends on the property you chose, whether it's what I call neutrally geared, right? And it depends on the location. For example, in in the US, there are a lot of locations there where you can buy positively or neutrally geared properties, whereas here in Sydney, especially in the eastern suburbs, that's pretty tough to find something that is neutrally geared. So that's just an example, but that's the ideal scenario where you have this real estate property and you rent it out and the rental income covers your expenses. But what if it doesn't? And this is where you probably need to do a lot more studying and research, because especially if you are in a higher income range, it actually helps to reduce your tax payments. So you might be able to, at the end of the year, if you've already paid taxes in advance through withheld taxes or with your business quarterly, what do you call that? Tax payments, at the end of the year, you might find that you can actually end up with a significant amount of refund, right? Because that's what's called negatively geared. That means even though you end up spending more than the rental income you're getting for your property, you can actually claim that as a tax offset or deduction. But I have to say, and I have to make a disclaimer, I don't want to get into trouble, that I'm not a certified financial planner or financial advisor, so don't take this as financial advice. Do your own research. But basically, I just want to paint that concept for you, because when you look and imagine, you know, thinking, how can I make money work for me instead of me continuously working hard for money? So think about it, real estate is one of the ways in which you can make your money work for you and your capital multiplying in value over the years. They say that every 7 to 10 years, the value of a property doubles up. Well, here in Australia, I'm not sure about that. I kind of tend to disagree with that, but there's some truth to it depending, again, on the location, right? So the other one, as I mentioned, there are two ways, right? The other way that I'm familiar with and I've personally applied is in equities or the share market. Now, there are two ways to go about the share market. One is if you yourself want to pick stocks and buy stocks yourself, but if you don't have that much advanced education and you don't have time to do your own research, then you're better off probably just buying what we call index funds. So historically, the share market, the value of shares in the share market keep increasing through time. I mean, they go through ups and downs, but it's been proven through time they actually increase in value. So there's also what you call ETFs, or exchange traded funds. So basically what it's doing is it's putting into a basket a number of shares, right? And so that mitigates your potential of losing more, or your risks of losing money by diversifying the investment across multiple shares. Now, I may be sounding very technical here. Now, I want to take a step back. Basically, I just want to, again, paint the picture where your money is working for you through shares. One, if you pick the shares and invest shares directly for yourself, or two, if you just simply invest in managed funds, index funds, or exchange traded funds. And I'm probably going to talk more about that in the future. But for now, I just want you to consider that possibility and have that planted in your head like the seed, right? That another tree you could have is shares or equities. What it does is that for some shares, they give you consistent dividends. Like, for example, some shares give you consistent dividend of 2%, 3%, right? And so you don't even have to really think about it. And it's just there. And what's advisable is you think about shares as though you're owning, or you're part owner of the business. So for example, if you bought Facebook shares, you're actually part owner, micro owner of Facebook as a company. That's what being a shareholder means. So think about 10 years from now, And, do you think the company will still be around in 10 years? Do you think the company will still be profitable in 10 years? And of course, there's a lot of, numbers, research that you have to do around that. And then if you come to the conclusion that yes, in the next 10 years, it will still continue to grow, it will still continue to prosper as a company, then that's a good company to buy into. That means your shares will not only continue to increase in value, but for some companies like Apple, you would continue to receive dividends. Again, disclaimer, I'm not giving this as a financial advice. This is just from my personal opinion. So don't take this as a financial advice. Do your own research. And finally, right, with the ETFs or in managed funds or index funds, there are fees that are associated with that. So again, that's something you have to research. And also, similar to shares and equities is what you call investment-linked insurance policies. So there are insurance policies that actually part of the money gets invested in the market and it grows in dividends through the years, except that you can't take it out. Well, for some insurance companies, you can't take out that money until your policy has matured, depending on the type of policy that you have. So there you go. I'm simply giving you scenarios that, yes, you can reach a point where money actually works for you. And sometimes it depends on your interest. For me, I find both real estate market and the share market both fascinating and fun. And I like reading and researching about real estate and share market. Again, I have to say this disclaimer for a third time. Don't take my advice as financial advice. Do your own research. All I simply wanted to share with you today is to start planting those seeds in your mind that over the long term, if you continue paying yourself first, maybe start with 10% of your income or 30%, 40%, whatever, you will eventually have enough to start investing and making your money work for you, and eventually reach a point where you don't have to work hard for money anymore. And how long does that take? It depends on your strategies. Some strategies can take longer and some strategies can take faster. And it also depends on your money personality. And that is why I talked about last week about awareness of your money personality, about being aware about your beliefs with money, because they are very, very fundamental starting point. So if you want to learn more about how to make money work hard for you instead of you working hard for money, just message me. And you may join our Prosperous Circle. We meet every fortnight. A few of us empowered ladies, as I call it, resourceful ladies. We meet every fortnight. And also, I'm soon starting Prosperous Heart. I'm not going to talk in those sessions about very specific details around investing. All I really wanted today was to share with you and paint for you the picture that you can make money work for you to the point that you don't have to work hard for money anymore. So we're all work in progress. There's a path and there are pathways. And one of the things we can continue to do is to keep educating ourselves, like listening to podcasts like this, or there are many other podcasts out there. There are many other resources and links out there in the internet on how you can eventually achieve that financial freedom. So, hope you like this talk today. As usual, positive energy, positive juju to all of you, and have a wonderful day. Send me your feedback. Let me know what you think. Cheers.